My GF dumped me for her career, thinking I was a loser. Years later, the tables have turned. Guess what happened next? Hey Reddit. When I was in my mid-20s, I thought I had it all figured out. I was in a 3-year relationship with my girlfriend, Emily. She was everything I thought I wanted: smart, ambitious, and driven. At the time, I was running a small tech startup with my best friend. It was still in its early stages, and while I believed in its potential, it didn't bring in much money. Emily had a steady job in marketing and had just been offered a big promotion in a new city. One evening, she sat me down for what I thought would be a celebratory dinner, but instead, she broke up with me. She told me she needed someone who could keep up with her, someone who was already successful and had their life together. She said she couldn't see a future with me and didn't want to waste any more time. She called my startup a hobby and said she couldn't be with someone who lacked ambition. Her words cut deep. I tried to explain that success takes time and that I was working hard to build something meaningful, but she wasn't interested. She had always been someone who valued immediate results, and my dreams didn't fit her timeline. She packed her things, moved to the new city, and left me behind, thinking I was just a loser holding her back. I won't lie, I was devastated. For weeks, I barely ate or slept. I kept replaying our conversations in my head, wondering if I had failed her or worse, failed myself. But as time passed, I realized I had two choices: I could wallow in self-pity, or I could use the pain as motivation. I chose the latter. Update. The comeback begins. A year later, my life was starting to change, though not without hard work. My co-founder and I had landed a major client, which brought in the funding we desperately needed. Our startup was finally gaining traction, and people were starting to take notice. We worked around the clock, pouring every ounce of energy into making our vision a reality. We sacrificed weekends, holidays, and any semblance of a social life, but we knew it was necessary to make our dream come true. During this time, I also started focusing on my personal growth. I hit the gym regularly and lost the weight I'd gained during my slump after the breakup. I took up reading, networked with other entrepreneurs, and even began practicing mindfulness to manage the stress of running a business. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild my confidence. At the same time, I started dating again. My friends pushed me to get back out there, though I was hesitant at first. After a few unsuccessful dates, I eventually met someone who completely changed the game: Rachel. She was kind, supportive, and genuinely interested in my dreams. Unlike Emily, who had constantly critiqued my choices, Rachel encouraged me to keep going. She believed in me even during moments when I doubted myself. Meeting Rachel reminded me of what a healthy partnership looked like. For the first time in years, I felt like I was building something meaningful not just in my career, but in my personal life too. The pain of Emily leaving began to fade, replaced by a sense of hope and purpose. Another update. 2 years after Emily left, everything changed in a way I could have only dreamed of. Our startup was acquired by a major tech company for an amount that still feels surreal to say out loud. I became a millionaire practically overnight. I bought a house, traveled to places I'd only seen in magazines, and even started investing in other startups to help others achieve their dreams. With financial stability came a new sense of freedom. I was finally able to take a step back and appreciate everything I'd worked so hard to achieve. Life wasn't just good, it was incredible. But just when I thought I'd left my past behind, a blast from the past came knocking. One day, I received a LinkedIn connection request. It was from Emily. I stared at the screen for a good minute, debating whether to accept it. Curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked accept. Not long after, she sent me a message. She congratulated me on my success and mentioned that she'd been following my journey on social media. Then she suggested we meet up for coffee to catch up. When I saw Emily in person, it was like looking at a ghost from a past life. She looked the same, but there was a nervous energy about her that I didn't recognize. We talked about life, and she admitted that things hadn't gone as planned for her. She'd burned out at her job, quit, and was now trying to figure out her next steps. Then she dropped the bombshell: she missed me and wanted to give us another shot. She said she regretted leaving me and realized she had underestimated me. She even apologized for calling my startup a hobby. While her words felt validating, I realized I didn't feel the same way about her anymore. I told her I was happy with Rachel and wished her well. Emily looked disappointed, but she said she understood. Final update. The tables have turned. A few months later, I proposed to Rachel. She said yes, and our wedding was one of the happiest days of my life. It was a small, intimate celebration filled with laughter, love, and the people who mattered most. As Rachel walked down the aisle, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I'd come. Not long after the wedding, I heard through mutual friends that Emily was struggling to start her own business. Part of me felt bad for her, but I knew better than to get involved. Some chapters in life are better left closed. Looking back, I realized Emily's decision to leave me was a blessing in disguise. It pushed me to focus on my dreams and find someone who truly valued me for who I was. Rachel saw the potential in me that Emily had overlooked, and together, we built a life I couldn't have imagined before. The irony isn't lost on me that the tables have completely turned. Emily, who once dismissed me as a loser, is now struggling, while I've found success and happiness. But the biggest lesson I've learned is that success isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. So, to anyone who's been underestimated or written off, remember this: the best revenge isn't about making someone regret their choices. It's about building a life so fulfilling that their opinions don't even matter anymore.